In an arraignment hearing you have the right to remain silent, and that is very important. You ever meet someone who just doesn't understand that sometimes? Silence is golden. Well, get ready to see a man in front of the judge who just can't take a hint.
22FB4000. I have received a petition requesting a court-appointed lawyer. I will sign that. You may proceed when you're ready, Mr. Hawthorne.
Thank you, and good afternoon, Your Honor. Calvin Hawthorne, requesting permission to appear before the court under Michigan Court Rule 8.120 with the supervision of Assistant Public Defender Silvana Reed.
Granted.
Thank you. I had a chance to review the complaint with Mr. Taylor. We will waive reading and stand mute to the charges.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Dowd.
Okay, Your Honor, this is the reason that we're asking for a $100,000 bond is the nature and the length of this unlawful imprisonment. Started in September 11th and just recently ended when she escaped when the police were interviewing the defendant. This is a case where she was strangled multiple times to the point where she couldn't breathe, lightheadedness, shortness of breath, and she did urinate. There were marks on her neck and on her face. He threatened to kill her and repeatedly beat her in the vehicle. She's homeless and she was living in the vehicle. So she ran away from her own vehicle to escape this, Your Honor. So,
okay, so
to the extent.
Again,
No, Mr. Taylor?
I have an issue, Mr. Dowd, with the way this report or the way the complaint is. The complaint only has today's date.
Yes, because the other strangulations occurred in Wayne County. So he would go between Wayne County and Washtenaw County, so we couldn't charge the strangulation all in Wayne County. That's going to be taken up over there.
What about the unlawful imprisonment? Did that just
yeah,
occurred just today too?
Yeah. She escaped. She escaped, Your Honor. It wasn't a situation where she was coming and going. This is the day she escaped, was on that day. They came into Ann Arbor, and that's where she escaped.
We weren't in Ann Arbor.
Okay, so
Or in Wayne's, Washington.
I called
Washington County. Okay, stop talking, Mr. Taylor.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you agree that should just say to yesterday's. Actually, this is just the one date, the 26th.
I believe, yeah. Because when I read the police report, Your Honor, it was an extended period of time. A lot of it was in Canton, in Detroit, and then
None of the rest of it was in.
Oh no, the what's charged did occur here. It's just multiple incidents, but most of the incidents were outside of Washtenaw County.
Okay, my question is about the unlawful imprisonment.
Yeah,
charge.
she was still in prison, and when she escaped here on that day, she escaped on the 26th.
She was restrained at some point for part of the 26th.
Yes,
And strangled at some point on the 26th.
correct.
And then was able to leave that situation somehow.
Yep.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Mr. Hawthorne.
Your Honor, Mr. Taylor maintains his innocence despite these allegations that are made against him today. He, looking at his record, he does have prior convictions. One being a felony unlawful imprisonment in 2016, in which he was sentenced to prison and he served that time and was released. In 2019, whereas he's since been gainfully employed, he's now waiting to begin his CDLA training. He's had little to no contact with police since his release date. I don't see any holds or any other warrants that are out for him currently. As he stated, he's not currently on probation or parole.
My file says he's on probation in Wayne County, and there's an active no contact order associated with that probation. I don't have his criminal history in front of me. That's what the pretrial risk assessment says.
That is factual, madam. Your Honor.
You are on probation?
Yes, Your Honor. I am on probation currently. Yes, Your Honor.
What's the charge?
The charge is disorderly person, Your Honor.
And there's a no contact case, a no contact order as part of that.
Yes, Your Honor.
And who's the no contact with?
No contact is against my ex-girlfriend, which my girlfriend now used to come to my court case. She's been inside several court cases since the process.
Okay, what's the no contact order in that case is with somebody other than the alleged victim, Angel?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, all right, thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Hawthorne.
Thank you for clearing that up, Mr. Taylor.
Yes, sir.
And so I guess he does have or is on probation.
It doesn't start until December. They said 12th exactly. But I am currently I start probation vividly on December the 12th. Yes, sir.
Okay.
You've pled guilty and been sentenced.
Yes, ma'am. I pled guilty and been sentenced to disorderly person. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor.
That was I'm sorry, ma'am. That was just so you have an exact date, ma'am. That was like early October, late September. And during this process, ma'am, my girlfriend, Angel Macio, who I have this charge on currently, she was sitting in the car for over the hour of time that I'm sitting here. Since this is
Mr. Taylor.
Okay.
All right.
Yes, sir.
He said enough. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, Mr. Taylor is willing to comply with the no contact with Angel Maciel, as well as where the GPS tether, alcohol tether, submit to drug testing, to ensure the safety of Ms. Maciel and to ensure that he's not a flight risk in his appearance for his probable cause conference.
My file also says self-surrender, but that's not true, right? He was arrested.
Self-surrender, ma'am. So
He went to the police station.
1 second, sir. I'll elaborate.
No. Your lawyer can tell me.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
He went to the police station to make a report not pertaining to anything in this case or the allegations in this case. And while at the police station or close by, that's where he was apprehended, I believe.
Okay.
If I may,
he couldn't have self-surrendered on this warrant because it wasn't in place until today. So there wasn't anything for him to self-surrender on. Okay. All right. Mr. Dawood, all of this stuff that is the basis of the charges here is victim statements.
Yes, and physical photographs of marks on her neck and 2 black eyes.
But not that we're required to have witnesses. I'm certainly not saying that. But I didn't take the testimony on this, so I don't have very much information. There's no witnesses to this.
Not indicated in the police report. No.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
question, Your Honor. May I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay, Your Honor. And I just want to give you a little insight too.
And that's not asking a question.
Okay, my question. Oh, yes, ma'am. My question for you is, will you potentially be able to get the officer that I spoke with that night? Because I called 911 to the police station.
No, I'm not going to do any of that. So
Yes,
what we're doing today is the arraignment.
okay.
And what an arraignment is there's essentially four things that need to occur at an arraignment. One, you have the right to be notified of the charges against you and your basic rights when you're charged with a crime. I believe Mr. Hawthorne gave you that information during your interview.
Yes,
Second, you have the right to have an attorney appointed for you. We've already done that.
yes,
Third, you get your court date, which I will give you in a second. And fourth is setting a bond and bond conditions.
yes, ma'am.
Nothing in that list I just gave you has anything to do with fact finding
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
or evidence
Okay.
or me determining whether this
It's factual. or not.
happened or not.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
The burden of proof to charge someone with a crime is what's called a preponderance of the evidence, or probable cause to believe that the crime committed. But
Okay.
it's not a very high burden of proof. It's certainly much lower than the burden to convict.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
And this is not a case. We never at the arraignments decide what actually happened. That's
Yes,
just
ma'am.
what we're doing here.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Yes,
All right.
ma'am. I'm sorry. I'm just very emotional.
It's okay. No problem.
Yes, ma'am.
That's why I'm explaining it.
Yes, ma'am. And I was just emotional because you can see in the statement.
Yep.
Like, the police,
Yep.
the station.
Okay. Yep. I don't have the police report. I never do.
Okay.
So that's why I was asking the questions that I was asking.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, regarding the bond, there are essentially two things that I'm supposed to consider when setting a bond. One is whether or not the defendant is a flight risk.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
the second is whether or not the defendant is a danger to the community.
Yes, ma'am.
And flight risk includes things like stability. Does the person have a job and a place to live? Does the person have a history of not coming to court?
Yes,
Is there a history of not following court orders?
Yes, ma'am.
Things like that. There's really nothing in your background or in this case that indicates a failure to a flight risk, as far as I can see. So I'm not concerned about flight risk.
Okay.
The second part is whether there is a danger to the community, and the community can be one person.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
what is indicating a danger here is primarily the nature of the charges.
Yes, ma'am. Understood.
Okay. I am going to set a bond for you because these are very serious charges.
Yeah,
And I just let me talk, okay?
Yes,
And if there's even a little bit of a likelihood that these allegations represent what occurred, I'd rather err on the side of protecting a victim as this is laid out.
I'm just saying to you, ma'am, I understand you're speaking. I just want to be notated, ma'am, that this whole scenario, I called 911 and went to the police station myself with her in the car, and she was able, ma'am.
Mr. Taylor, I advise you to.
Mr. Taylor, I fully understand that your version of events is not this. Okay,
Okay, ma'am. I'm just telling you the facts, though, which is going to be on.
I get it. Okay, and I also, this is not the first case where someone is accused of doing something really quite horrible, and later we discover that the victim was not telling the truth and it didn't happen at all. So I am aware of the possible outcomes of this.
All I ask, ma'am, is please just work with me, ma'am. I'm not going to speak no more. I'm
Okay,
just asking you to be
then
my.
stop.
Yes, ma'am.
You're getting on my nerves now, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
I'm trying
ma'am.
to explain to you what I'm doing. I'm trying to make a record about why I'm doing it.
Yes, ma'am.
And I know what you want, and I understand your position. You don't need to keep saying it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I am setting a financial bond. I am not setting $100,000. I don't
Yes, ma'am.
think that's
Yes, ma'am.
supported by this situation.
Yes, ma'am.
Setting your bond at $15,000 with the right to post 10%, $1,500. Okay. While you're on bond, you're not to have any contact with Angel Maciel. I know you're describing her as your girlfriend. I don't care.
No, my ex-girlfriend.
No,
She's not my
okay,
girlfriend.
no contact with her.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. So you can't initiate contact. You can't reply if she tries
Yes,
to
ma'am.
contact you.
Yeah, well, not.
If
Yes, ma'am.
she shows up where you are, you have to leave. You
Yes,
can't go to her house. I don't think we have an address for her.
No, we don't. Your Honor, she's homeless, so she's living out of her car.
Okay.
That's why we didn't put an address.
Okay. So no contact with her really literally means no contact.
Ma'am, can I ask you one question, ma'am?
Yes.
I know you set my bond at 15,000, 10%, ma'am. I am currently homeless as well. I currently just had $3,000. I was paying for our residency every day. Can you work on my bond with me, ma'am? Can we get it at 1,000, please, ma'am? I'm just asking you a question, ma'am. Can we please, ma'am? I'm begging you, ma'am.
I'll change it to 30. I'll change it to 30,000, 10%, and you can post that 3,000. But
no, ma'am, I won't do that. No,
yeah,
ma'am.
okay. Don't ask me for anything else.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I just told you to stop.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I also told you were irritating me, and you
I'm sorry, ma'am.
continue
I'm,
to
yes,
push.
ma'am.
So just stop it.
Yes, ma'am.
Probable cause conference is November 10th. That will be over Zoom at approximately 9 a.m. No alcohol, no marijuana, no illegal drugs while you're on bond, no purchase or possession of firearms, weapons, or ammunition. Do not leave the state of Michigan without permission of the court. No assaultive behavior, no criminal behavior.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you're all set. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
When you stand up, they'll know we're done. Thank you.
I'm sorry. I'm good.
You're doing it right.